Welcome back. Soccer Down Here Postgame Show, presented by the Brew House, from the Brew House, for the Brew House.
I got a question.
What's your question?
Who is here tonight and is pleased that Atlanta United won?
I think that's most people. Yes.
Go for it right off the top. Congratulations. I think you've got another date at Mercedes-Benz Stadium that has nothing to do with MLS Cup, but it does have to do with the chance at another championship.
Another trophy that Atlanta United could add to the case later this month, and we'll hopefully have an announcement here shortly on dates and times and all that such stuff. It will be against the winner of Minnesota and Portland, which will be tomorrow night. But you look at the numbers that are up on the screen right now, it's pretty dominant from Atlanta United. Second half, Orlando had more of the ball, but they really didn't create that much.
No. And you now have a chance once again where I think the record is now 0-6-2 against, if you're Orlando going up against Atlanta United, you're now 0-6-2 and you've lost all the home matches.
I've lost count, sadly. I got to think about it for a second.
But there is a 0 there.
You had 2 draws in 2017, and since then, you haven't lost to Orlando. You haven't had a result against Orlando since the 3-3 draw in September of 2017. You've never lost. I'm trying to remember the last time they scored. It's been a while on that, too.
I want to say it was in the Nixon administration was when they last
scored. It feels like it. A whole lot of roar, but no bite is the tweet from Atlanta United. I'm just kind of sad that Mike Conti and I weren't there and were able to get kicked out of the stadium again. Oh, did I say that? My bad.
Was that in your out loud voice?
Yeah, my bad. That happened once.
And Chris Ashley in Greenville, we are keeping an eye as to the clues as to the when and the how getting tickets for the final.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get a ticket announcement tonight, but I believe August 27th is the number that has been thrown around for a date.
Correct.
I don't know if that is officially official yet.
But but the 27th is the one that has stuck in our minds.
Okay.
So for anyone who is either staring at us here at the Brew House, listening to us live at the Soccer Down Here app and on Spreaker and your favorite podcatcher, if you got any questions, that's what we're here for. We know some of you are up past your bedtime, and thanks for hanging out with us the entire evening. I don't know if we can do like doctor's notes for anybody.
No, I don't have that power. I'm sorry.
To be late for work tomorrow. But congratulations, fans. You've done it again.
Yeah, what a performance. I mean, to go in to face an Orlando team that is the biggest match in their club's history, a chance for them to get to a final, and to go in without Joseph Martinez, and honestly, like, for that to come down suddenly. I mean, you didn't prepare for it. You didn't know this was going to happen. You didn't have time to work on alternatives. And to find a way to play the way you did. I mean, this was a controlling performance from Atlanta United. That's hard to do when you lose a guy like Joseph.
But when you find a way to win without your talisman, without Joseph Martinez, you've come up with a game plan. You dominate both sides of the ball. And we found that there were some folks, obviously man of the match is Eric Rometti. That's easy.
Well, there's been some votes on that.
We had votes?
Yes, there's been some takes on it. Miles Robinson had a lot of support in the man of the match.
He's the bad man of the match.
Kelly goes for Miles Robinson. I'm going to have to disagree. I got a vote in from my partner Mike Conti, and we pretty much share the same brain at this point. Eric Rometti. I thought Rometti, not just because he got a goal, but gets the goal, the pass to set up the second with the ball to Escobar, and just really strong performance in the middle of the field. I got to go Rometti, but Robinson is right there with him.
I would agree. I'll go with Eric Rometti, man of the match. Miles would be my runner-up, and then I guess who would Miss Congeniality be? Darlington Nagby?
Merrim or LGP? Okay. I think LGP's in that too.
And speaking,
I got a question. What does LGP have to do?
What does Pitti have to do?
I've given up on Pitti ever getting a call in his life.
Yeah.
But LGP, I have no idea why he gets a yellow for a nothing foul.
Yeah.
And then the ref just watches a late tackle from Mueller and then watches an elbow to Remedi's jaw.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was right
We did have a question about yellow card accumulation. It's a little interesting in the Open Cup. The final has nothing to do with it, but it's 3 yellows to get a suspension. There's only 1 or 2 players who are on 2 yellows, LGP and Merrim.
Correct,
right?
yes.
No one else has more than 1.
Miles, Barco, Jeff, PT, Escobar, Pogba.
So you're good.
Have 1. You're good.
So nothing, no concerns, no worries. Everybody's in the final. You're good to go.
Yep.
When I thought it was 2 there for a minute, I was a little worried. But
Percy Herrera with a question from the Twitters, and thanks for hanging out with us. Over under on how many people thought that Carlton and Pogba would be your first 2 subs?
0.0. I'm waiting on comments, and Doug Robertson from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution is in Orlando. He'll be tweeting out some post-game comments. I want to hear what happened on the Barco sub. We were talking about it when it was going down. My assumption, and this is completely an assumption from sitting here and not in Orlando, is that Barco wasn't right either at halftime or right at the beginning of the second half, and you had to do it then because that's not a normal time you would make it.
No.
If he wasn't right at halftime, you didn't have anyone warming up at halftime, so you wanted to buy a little bit of time for a warm-up, and you get Carlton in. I thought Carlton being the sub was interesting.
Yes.
He's the most like-for-like that you have at that point. And I don't think Tito had 40 minutes in him.
No.
So, if you wanted to change it, Tito couldn't have gone 40. Carlton is not going to change the way you play. I thought Andrew was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it took him a while to get into it.
And that's understandable considering the lack of time that he's had with the first team.
He didn't stand out in a negative way.
Right.
And that's what you want in a moment like that. Going through the stats real quick, the overall team stats, Orlando had 12 shots, only 2 on target, 1 in each half. Atlanta ended up with 15 shots, 7 on target. Possession, first half was 61% Atlanta, second half was 61% Orlando, basically 50-50. Atlanta just shaded it at 50.6%, about what you would expect. Fouls, 15, Orlando, 10 on Atlanta. Didn't really feel like what had happened, but okay. 10 shots from inside the box for Atlanta. You look at the individuals, and I always go to chances created. Atlanta created 14 chances. That's 3 less than what they had against the Galaxy. Gressel, Barco, and Barco only in 50 minutes, and Pitti all had 3. Merrim created 2. Escobar with his assist. LGP and Nagbe created the other ones.
Mr. Green at 919Falcoholic on Twitter. Fathering Orlando without father being present is fatherlicious.
So does that make Eric Remedi the stepdaddy?
Yeah, so whose tune are we breaking out?
Hitman Sammy Sam had the song Stepdaddy, yes.
Okay, there we go. Just checking.
Go look it up.
Let's see. Also on the board, Dan Murphy. A very professional performance by United, especially the last 10 to 15 minutes. How about the Carlton sub? Well done, FDB. And just when we thought Tito's hair could not get any cooler. Man, welcome back, brother. Heading to the final. Hashtag Tito makes the team go.
Tito's a little rusty, but he skinned a couple of guys, which is always fun to see.
They had families until those moments.
The one guy had a family. He doesn't anymore. Not after what Tito did to him.
No.
Boy.
So Tito comes in, gets his legs, and what you were also able to do was make sure that I think we kind of have an idea as to what the lineup may look like a little bit for NYCFC on the weekend.
Well, maybe. I mean, is Joseph going to be back by Sunday? That's a question, and we don't know. How did everybody come out of this one? We don't know yet. You do have to wonder about Barco. Is he going to be okay? He played 60 on Saturday, turned around and gave you 50 tonight. Early sub, so you wonder if everything's good. Pitti didn't have to go 90. That's good. Merrim, you got to check on him.
Yep.
I'm hoping it was just cramping up.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Other than that, I think you're all right. I'm curious if you're going to be back to full strength for NYC. I mean, Tito's not going to be able to start by Sunday, I wouldn't think, but I think he's in line for more minutes. I'm really curious to see what tomorrow looks like in terms of the transfer window. You got a spot to play with. I'm wondering if you go get some insurance.
Chris Duval
Chris Duval would be your insurance on the outside for sure. And if there's any concern about Joseph or Vasquez for any period of time, you might have to go make that move.
Nathan Pugh, considering who was and how much they were available, I'll take that kind of 2-0 every day. Stay classy, Orlando.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a good, solid 2-0 win.
It was a workmanlike professional win.
I think it's even more than that. I think that's diminishing it a little bit. You didn't, sit back and defend.
No.
You didn't, kind of long ball your way into it. You played good soccer.
You did your thing.
You did your thing that you could do tonight.
Yeah.
You played good soccer, and you stayed true to who you are. You didn't just pack it in. You didn't just play direct. You played, and it took longer, and it took a while, and you had to figure some things out because you got different pieces, but you figured it out. I keep going back to something that Frank said a while ago after a match where he talked about he wanted this team to get to a point where he didn't have to stand up on the touchline asking for changes, yelling for changes.
Yeah.
He wanted the team to figure it out on their own. I thought they did that in the first half tonight. I thought they really figured out the best way to attack Orlando, and they got the goal to show for it.
And I go back to the quote that was released after the win this past weekend, where he goes to Jeff Lorenowitz and says, coach them. That's out there on the pitch. That's not from Frank, and you didn't see Frank DeBoer out there on the touchline in the coach's box a great deal this evening. You saw him sitting in the chair with Orlando Trustfall, and they were kind of looking over things from there as opposed to being right up against everything.
Let's get into somebody we didn't talk about when it came to man of the match, but I think we should have. Darlington Nagbe.
Yes.
Again, I mean, it's so easy to take the guy for granted because he's not going to get you on SportsCenter. He's not going to score a bunch of goals. He's not going to have a bunch of assists. But I want to share a few numbers with you. And stats don't mean everything in this game. We all know that. But these are some numbers that are even above and beyond for Darlington Nagbe. So he led the team in passes with 51, completed 92%. Led the team in passes in Orlando's half with 33, completed them at 91%. Then you look beyond that. Okay, he had to defend a lot more tonight, right? He had a tackle. He had 2 clearances. He had an interception. He regained possession 13 times, and he lost possession 4 times. That's absurd.
Yes.
That's why he's worth the amount of money he's worth.
No doubt about it.
He's not a flashy player, but, man, he can get you out of trouble.
He's that offensive lineman when you're looking at...
That's not even... No.
He's the guy that gives you the good pancake block, but you don't notice it, and then you look in the numbers and you sit there and say, man, he had a really good game protecting the quarterback.
No, it doesn't translate. There's not a translation for Darlington Nagbe. There just isn't.
Okay.
He's that good. He's such a unique, special player. I think if you had a player like Darlington Nagbe in Spain or in the Netherlands, they would be cherished. And kids would have Darlington Nagbe posters on their wall because of what he does for a team. He's not a highlight guy.
No.
But, oh, my goodness, he's unbelievable. And when you look at these numbers, it's ridiculous. All right, we're getting input from Kelly Francis. What the?
Insta story from Kelly. Joseph watching from home.
Joseph is watching from home and says, great win, babies. Joseph is enjoying himself.
As he should.
A lot.
The Colonel on the Twitters. Truth be told, it might have gone differently against another side, but Orlando City are incompetent buffoons that have never made the playoffs for a reason. Frank DeBoer's a genius.
I think they are incompetent buffoons. Yes, I agree with that. I completely agree with that. James O'Connor, he got the win in league play. I think the seat has cooled down a little bit because of that. But
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I really don't know.
I'm like, I'm not all that fired up about the job being
There's not
saved.
a lot of excitement about James O'Connor these days.
No. Although the real excitement is seeing how many times James O'Connor face does pop up.
It happens a lot. There's not a lot of excitement because there weren't a lot of people in the stands.
No. 7 sections in the upper deck by photograph had no one in them.
Did we ever see an attendance number?
No.
Yeah, that's about what you would expect. You're not going to announce that one. That's going to get silently dropped on probably Friday at 5 o'clock.
Tofka, during the news dump. The weekend news dump will give you your attendance figure.
Yes.
Tofka. That was a professional win, and then it was 8 clapping emojis. Sending Orlando home on a major tournament is so freaking sweet. Happy birthday to @D-Eels. ATOUTD.
That is a nice birthday present for Darren Eels.
I want to know what his Twitter is going to look like.
Yeah, I know he was there.
I want to know what that Twitter from @DEals ATOUTD is going to look like.
And I mean, that's what it goes back to, because you see the tweets every time, like, it's not a rivalry because they can't win, blah, blah, blah. Look, you go ask anybody, this is not just your average run-of-the-mill game. It's not.
No.
And, Orlando needs to win one at some point to have any say about anything.
It's not a rivalry.
But it is a rivalry. It is. It's just it's not the Red Bulls right now, because that's a rivalry that Atlanta needs to win one in the regular season. It happens. But Orlando and Atlanta has that spice to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blown away that they couldn't sell more tickets. I'm absolutely blown away by it.
That's what happens when you restrict yourself. And then
no, it's not even that. That's what happens when your team has been bad for 4 years and nobody believes you can actually get through this round.
And by restricting yourself, I mean, just think about how many Atlanta United fans would have made the trip.
Sure, but they didn't want that. I mean, that's the thing.
No.
Like, I understand
saying. If you open the door, you're going to have more Atlanta United fans in there probably than the wall.
No, that's fine, but they don't want that. I understand it, but the fact that they can't, energize their fan base.
Nope.
There's not a lot to be excited about.
Nope.
It's sad. $15 tickets, $10 tickets when they first went on sale. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let's get somebody we have not talked to in a long time on the show. Curtis Jenkins from Footy Mob, who's in the house.
Bring it.
A lot of Footy Mob folks hanging out with us tonight here at the Brew House. I want to get Curtis's take on this.
Let me tag out here real quick.
All right.
Give Curtis some room.
We're making space here at the Brew House for those of you listening at home. Curtis Jenkins from Footy Mob. How's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Good. Thoughts on tonight? What stood out to you?
Honestly, the weird invisibility of our midfield, because they do their job so well you don't notice them. Mm-hmm. It's like, we maintain possession. We win the ball back. You make the passes. You complete the passes. So they're just there, but you don't actually notice them.
Right. Nagbe, he's the epitome of that. I mean, Darlington Nagbe, look, there's been a lot of talk. We don't know what's going to happen next year. I think this roster could look a little different because you got a lot of guys who are coming into the last year of their contract or going into option years. Now I think you've seen this year, even more than last year, why they went out and gave up so much to get him from Portland.
Oh, exactly. But you also see with the acquisitions this year what Frank has in mind going forward. So you lose Nagbe, but you have Hyndman coming in.
Yep.
You have just these players that you can kind of see what he wants, which is that ball control, middle field at that level, maintain possession, and then take your chances we can get them. So it's great to see the transition more so than a hard break. It's, all right, we got this in 2019, 2020, we are ready to go. There's no ramp-up period.
Yeah, that's what's so hard about it. And I think, there's been a lot of talk about Frank de Boer and what he's wanted to do and strategy and all that and tactics. I think what you just said is perfect. He is the kind of evolving this a bit. It's not, okay, now we play this way. It is, we're changing a little bit. We're trying to do a few things different. And It's step by step.
Exactly. And it's like a weird little bit of personnel and how you make those moves from the front office point of view to get his point across, but also the players that are here adapting and slowly understanding. And like you said, it takes 6 months. We're at that effective 6 months mark of having everyone healthy and people picking up what he's trying to do. So now, guess what? It's looked better since Barco got back. Yeah. I mean, PC's looked like a completely different player the last 2 games who's actually having fun, as opposed to someone who is angry.
Yeah, I think you're putting him into a position where he's more comfortable. He's not the guy who is dominating in touches and that conductor. He's the guy who is going to be on the end of things, which is what you want. I think that's where he is at his best.
Yeah, he's going to rack up a ton of assists by being in place and spotting those people. And you saw it tonight. Once Barco went out of the game, it kind of changed for him. Yeah. It wasn't bad because you were still able to maintain possession, win balls back. but he sort of receded back because he didn't have that partner to go, okay, I know I'm going here or here with it, especially without Joseph also being in the lineup.
Right, yeah. And I thought Andrew Carlton, I mean, that's a tough spot, and we'll, if we get some comments out of Orlando from Frank DeBoer after the match, we'll share them. But it's a tough spot to come into. I thought Andrew ultimately did okay.
I thought he was doing the right things.
Yeah.
He just wasn't up to game speed.
Yeah.
I think he needs live games.
You got to play at this level,
right.
and that's where it's very difficult when you get to this point because USL Championship, John and I called the game on Friday. Andrew played really well. He created a bunch of chances. He looked too fast for that level, too good for that level. He was seeing things too much. This is a whole nother jump.
Yeah. It's weird just looking at him come in the game. He looked different physically. It's like whatever happened, he's actually cleaned up a lot, and it showed on now it's just a matter of reps at the MLS level, reps at hopefully get him back to the men's national team radars at some point in the future and becoming who we thought he was going to be 4 years ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing for kids at that age. You don't know what the trajectory is going to be. For some, it's immediate and it's fast, and they just keep going. Others, you have these step backs.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be hard. I mean, if you gave me that amount of money at that same age, I would have blown it all on wings. And so I can't cast any stones at him because I would have been way more irresponsible. But it's good to see that, I mean, he's still young enough. He can correct. He can do these things and get back on track and honestly become a productive member of this team and, like, win the fans back over to start with, but also the locker room and the coaches.
Yeah, 100%. You, by the way, have had the tweet of the year so far on SDH.
Oh, which one was that one?
When we were going round and round about the Wigan Athletic mascot, the walking pie.
Yeah.
And if Atlanta was to have a mascot that was food.
Yeah. It should be a wing.
I think it'd be two wings. I think it'd be a drumstick and a flat.
It'd be a drum and a flat.
Yeah.
No whole wing.
Right.
And, one could be like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You have
there you go.
Mr. and Mrs. Wing. One's a flat, one's a drum. They come out, they take pictures. Of course, lemon pepper web.
Of course.
Or you could change the sauce every game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just offer some options for the people.
There you go.
Put them on opposite sides of the stadium, see where people go more. Do they go to flats or wings? I will die on the hill of flats.
I'm with you, yes.
Yeah. So
100% with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if we're going to do it, it has to be so utterly ridiculous that it's perfect.
So I want to ask you, and I don't want to start controversy, but I want to ask you, talking about things being ridiculous and culture and all that, what's your take on all of the supporters group stuff and TIFOs and this and that?
I think a lot of it is just growing pains. So the first year, I mean, almost every supporters group was people and their friends.
Right.
Then the next year it was like the friends of those friends. Now, in a weird way, we're all brands, and people who don't know are joining us. So you're trying to say, hey, this is how we do things. That's how they do things.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't know necessarily the nuts and bolts. I mean, there are people who've been involved for years who don't know how things happen, and that's not a good or a bad. It's just, I mean, no one can do everything. So you have to explain it after the fact. People are like, hey, this is how this happens. This is how we prefer to do it. That's how they prefer to do it. The difference in opinions are valid. I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but it's how do you manage those expectations and how do you manage the results? And then when people get upset, going to them, and you allow people their feelings, let them get upset, but then you pull them in and you say, hey, I know this was upsetting. Here's why we do it this way. This is why they do it that way. And if you have problems with the process after that, we can work on the process. Right. But you have to get the honest opinion out there first. And it's like, okay, you're upset. Why are you upset? Okay, cool. I can handle that actual thing. And make sure you're actually upset about the thing that you're visibly upset about. And that is not something else.
Right.
Because I'd rather solve the root problem than a superficial one that's not the thing that you're actually upset about.
That's a good way to put it. I think there's a flavor for everybody. I think there's a vibe for everybody with all the different groups, and I like that there's different character to each group. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't think every team has that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is communication. And I think there's so many of us. Yeah. And we still have an issue in our own supporter section where we've got a lot of people who are in the section but aren't supporters group members, and they don't understand sometimes why things happen.
Right.
So what's the best conduit for us to explain that to them? How do you educate that person who bought a seat just for one game or a season ticket, and they've been there for 3 years, and they're still upset about flags. Right. They don't understand the chants because they sit behind row 20. Right. They don't know why there's seat kills for this, that, or the other. There should be a way for us to collectively say to them, hey, this is what's going on. So they're not caught off guard. It's not a surprise, but they're also not left in the dark to just kind of fill in the blank.
Yeah. I love that when new people come down to the Gulch and kind of see what it's like and go around and meet a bunch of the different groups, generally you find somebody that you're cool with, somebody that you want to hang out with. I've heard nothing but compliments from opposing teams' fans, from like new fans, from random fans, from casual fans, from people at their first soccer game. And that's a credit to all of you guys who put in the work and create such a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of like when you're in college and you have fraternity parties and they're all going at the same night. You can kind of hop from house to house because they're all going to be different. And it's cool that they're all different because no one party is going to fit everybody. All parties are valid. So it's great to have opposing fans, people who are going to their first game. I've had coworkers who are literally not soccer people stop by for 10, 15 minutes and go, oh, this is what you do every weekend. So it's great that people can show up and do that. We went up to LAFC. Their fans are great. They were amazingly welcoming. They were just like, let's do everything together.
I thought that was really cool, and that doesn't happen everywhere.
No. Montreal, same thing.
Yeah.
Like, after the game, they're like, come down and chant with us. And
that was outstanding, by the way. We're doing the full-time report, and we're looking down, and it's like you're trading off Orlando chants and Toronto chants. It was awesome.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where they're holding us there, and we're like, why are they staying? Then they're like waving us, and we're like,
right.
Is this about to be a fight? What's going on here?
Is this West Side Story?
Yeah, exactly. So you just like slowly go down the stairs. And like, we just want to chant with you all. And we're like, oh, okay.
We just want to share some poutine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
come on.
We brought gravy. Just so happens.
We're good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Final question for you. How do you think this season ends?
I think the season ends with an Open Cup win. I don't know how far we go in the playoffs. That depends mostly, honestly, on health.
Yeah, I
if
agree.
we could get everybody healthy for, a 3-game stretch, I think we can at least win the Eastern Conference. Mm-hmm. But we still haven't seen our best 11 on the field together. Our bench is ridiculous where, you're looking at a proposition of Emerson Hyndman being on the bench in a finals game.
Yeah.
You're looking at making choices like that no other team in MLS has to make when it comes to creating your starting lineup. So I think we absolutely win Open Cup. I think we make a good showing in playoffs. Health is going to be the determiner there. Campeones Cup, I wonder who actually cares.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah. I mean, you want to win because there's a trophy on the line,
right.
But it's an uneven playing field because the Mexican teams don't have the same salary cap, we don't have the same roster restrictions,
right?
So they can literally run out a team that's equivalent to ours that might be half their starting lineup and half reserve squad.
Yeah, they've lost some players. Club America's made a couple of moves here in the last week, so they might not be anywhere near their full strength. It could be really interesting. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
but I wonder if it'll have intensity.
Yeah, and that's what this weird team that needs intensity.
Yes.
When anything is relaxed, we get sloppy.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Having seen the team play on the road and at home, when there's a full stadium, they play so much better than when home or road. Full stadium, they play amazing.
Yeah.
Half-empty stadium, they're just kind of like,
It's flat.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Let everybody know where they can follow you, and if they're interested in learning more about Footy Mob, let them know where to go.
So if you want to follow me, I'm at Kurt McGirt1 on Twitter, and for everything for Footy Mob, it's at Footy Mob on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah. Curtis, always good to catch up.
Good to catch up.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks.
We're going to get back into the Twitters. Let's get a couple questions from Twitter, John, because I know we've got some folks out there listening who have had some. We'll see if we can get caught up as well on any quotes coming out of Orlando. A good, comprehensive, clean sheet win for Atlanta United.
Comprehensive. I'm checking Twitters.
I
need like some dialing music or something.
No.
Will Palmer says maybe Orlando City should have sold tickets to Georgia residents.
If they want that cash, they should. If they want that money, they should.
Shiva, what do you think about Peachy? Did he slow down after Barco left?
Yes, I think he did a little bit. I think he struggled to find a connection with Andrew. It's okay. It's all right. I mean, Pitty's played, 160-plus minutes in the last few days?
Yeah.
That's more than he's played in general. I'm okay with that.
Mr. Green, the ESPN app has the attendance in Orlando this evening.
Okay.
18,461.
And capacity's 25, I think.
Right.
That feels a little generous.
Mr. Green says it looked more like 8,461.
Ooh, that's a little harsh. I think it was more than that. I think it's probably somewhere in between those two numbers. I would have guessed around 13.
Jimmy Vance.
Full.
Jimmy Vance at the beautiful game. He says that at Longshoe on at Soccer down here earlier today.
I know that show.
If Atlanta United goes down to Orlando without Joseph and rally the troops and gets a win, Atlanta United will be flying high at the bins versus NYCFC. Plus, it will be massive for the Atlanta United season. And then a gif from Kill Bill with Sonny Chiba saying, very good.
Yeah, it's a lift. It's got to be. I mean, it's got to give you confidence because that's not easy to do, what Atlanta United just did. I mean, how many times have we heard this? Without Joseph Martinez, Atlanta United's nothing. Well,
I think there's something.
I think they proved tonight that they've got some other tricks up their sleeve.
Michael Bucklew at Kurt McGirt 1. Drums, my man, drums.
Okay.
I know not the reference point of that one.
I don't either. Oh, sorry, yes. So Bucklew is on the drums side of the wing debate.
Okay. Oh.
He's wrong, by the way. But,
okay.
You know. Sorry, Michael.
You're kind of fishing for too much there. I need as much access to the meat on the particular element.
Oh, so you're on the drum side too?
Am I? I guess so.
I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess I would be a drumstick guy.
Well, you're wrong too. That's okay.
Not a shock. Let's see. What else do we have? From the Colonel again, I think what Longshoe is trying to say is if Darlington had been playing for the other side, the result might have been reversed.
Could have been. I mean, he would have given them presence in the midfield. I was a little disappointed that Mendez didn't really give Orlando much. I'd be disappointed for Orlando in that regard. He was okay. He gained possession 13 times. He lost it 11. He had 6 tackles. His partner, Will Johnson, 5 tackles, only gained possession 5 times, lost it 7 times. But you look at what they did going forward, and that's the more important part here. Nani had 4 chances created, obviously their most dangerous player. Johnson and Mendez had 1 apiece. Akindele had 1. Mueller had 1. That's not enough. That's just not enough going forward. 2 shots on goal, 1 from Johnson and 1 from Mueller. It's just not enough.
Brandon Felder, all the talk mid-match about the Barco sub. I get it, but Frank DeBoer got it right tonight with the top 2 strikers injured and out-coached O'Connor.
Yeah, I think he absolutely coached O'Connor. I think O'Connor got it wrong with Asquez out of the 18 unless there was an injury issue. I think he got it wrong with the Johnson-Mendez-Kleshchen trio in midfield. And I don't know what's wrong with Dom Dwyer at this point. I haven't seen somebody fall off from where he was in 2017 with the national team and the Gold Cup to now where he can't do basic things. It's really surprising. I don't know what's happened to him.
A couple of notes from Doug Robertson of the AJC on his Twitter. The ticket pre-sale is tomorrow for the season tickets.
All right, for season ticket holders, tomorrow you can get your ticket for the Open Cup final.
And Joseph is most likely out for NYCFC, grade 2. He felt it taking a PK in practice.
Okay.
Most likely out for NYCFC.
I'm not shocked. I mean, you're going to miss this one. It happened Monday. Coming back Sunday is a quick turnaround, so that's not all that shocking. I'd be surprised if he played in the Campeones Cup, so that would give him another bit of time. You get him back for Portland. I'm okay with that.
And Doug also confirms in his written piece at AJC.com it is August 27th at Mercedes-Benz.
August 27th, U.S. Open Cup final. The first Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup final in the history of the competition in Georgia. The furthest a Georgia team has ever gotten in the tournament's history. Even when you go back to the all-amateur days of it in the 70s and 80s, you had teams. The tournament was structured completely different. It was very regional, and then you'd have like a Final Four, a national Final Four. You had Georgia teams win the region and get to a national semi. You didn't have a Georgia team get to a national final in those days of the Open Cup. And since the professional days in 1995, the furthest a Georgia team had been was the quarterfinals, and that was the Silverbacks in 2014.
Sean Vergara said it was good to see us tonight. He says he asked if it's true we're hosting the final. The answer is yes, and Eric Remedi was his semifinal hero again.
Yes, Eric Remedi in semifinals for whatever reason. Eric Remedi is
he
absurd.
is the stepdad.
He is definitely the stepdaddy for Orlando.
Tafka, once more. The stakes for today's match were so huge, it's not just a, quote, final berth into, quote, on the line, but also the entire storyline between Atlanta and Orlando. It would no longer be Atlanta dominates, but Atlanta couldn't beat Orlando when it counts. Now it's a complete dominance at Soccer Down Here.
Yeah, in a lot of ways it is. I mean, this is the game where if you're Orlando, you get the news that Joseph Martinez is unavailable. You've got to be pumped up for that. They weren't. They just did not show enough. It felt like Orlando came in 5-10 minutes, really, piss and vinegar and all excited, and then they petered out, and they just played like Orlando. Surprising.
0-6-2 in the history against Atlanta United.
Very, very surprising.
Doug Robertson update. Barco was told before the game he was going to play 45. He played 47.
Yeah, I wonder then why it went down the way it did.
You mentioned the idea of not being fully warm.
Well, no, that part's fine, but if he's going to play 45, then you should have the sub ready to go at halftime, if that was the idea. I'm wondering if maybe he thought about stretching it early in the second half and then said, you know what, it's not there. Let's go ahead and do it. I don't want to risk it anymore. You got to think big picture, and I know, and that sub got a lot of people riled up, and it's understandable. You got to think big picture because right now Barco's even more important because of Joseph being out, because of Tito's still working back in. You can't put him more at risk.
Josh Boland with a fun rivalry stat with Atlanta United and Orlando City. Atlanta wins 6. Orlando goals 6.
And 3 of those came in one game.
So there you go.
Yeah, it's a lot of clean sheets. It's a whole lot of clean sheets.
We are officially caught up on the Twitters on the SDH end.
So, official statistic from thecup.us, Josh Hakala has been covering this tournament for a number of years. It's a great website and great resource for the event. With Atlanta United reaching the final, we can now cross Georgia off our list of states that have never had a team reach the Open Cup final. And there will be another one tomorrow because there's never been a team from Minnesota or Oregon to reach the Open Cup final. Pretty cool.
So what are the plans for us tomorrow?
So tomorrow, normal time, it is a 9 a.m. Wall Pass Wednesday / Overreaction Wednesday. Have we had an Overreaction Wednesday?
No, I believe this will be the first.
I don't think we've ever had an Overreaction Wednesday. We got one tomorrow. We'll talk more about Atlanta and Orlando. I'm sure there'll be some more quotes and things that emerge by then. Then after that, I'll be on the midday show at 92.9 at 1:20 with Randy and Andy. And then the stoppage time, 2 o'clock, Facebook.com/929thegame.
Check.
And we're going to try to do everything possible to broadcast the final. That's all we can try to do, and that's all we know, because the final will not be on Plus, I don't think. The final will be on one of the ESPN networks.
Yeah, I think Champion and Twelman are going to do that one for the big network.
That would make total sense. So we're going to give it another go and hope that maybe, since it is not a streaming game and it's on an ESPN, that we can find a way in, we're going to try.
That's all you can do.
That. I think we're going to be doing something through radio for that. This might go to radio with pre and halftime and post kind of filling in if we can't broadcast. We're going to figure something out to do it because we really want to.
Yes.
And it's kind of a big deal.
Yes,
so,
it is kind of a big deal. It's past kind of a big deal. It's
a
big deal.
It is.
It's a flat-out big deal.
I mean, I've been involved in putting together a team that qualified for the Open Cup. It's a special tournament, and I think a lot of people don't really know what to make of it just yet. I think in Atlanta, people are going to know what to make of it after the final and after you've experienced one. Hopefully tonight kind of brought that home a little bit too. It's an opportunity for this team to put another trophy in the case, lock down a CONCACAF spot, and then when you have this playoff format, it's a crapshoot. So you get into it, you see what happens, but you've already got CONCACAF, you've got cash, and you've got a trophy. That's a good year. And we said it, a month, 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago. We looked at what this season could be, what defines success. I thought an Open Cup win and an Eastern Conference final would be a very successful season for Frank DeBoer in year one in Atlanta, and you've got all of that right in front of you now.
With 11 injuries of various lengths, including your leading scorer and your reigning MVP, and basically your first-choice lineup, which never existed, bits and pieces. The list that we ran through, I was going to say, the lineup of folks who have been injured this year at any given point, and you are where you are, speaks volumes as to the coaching staff, the front office, and everybody that has been there to assemble this squad to get them from match to match to get them to where they are right now.
I don't know. I don't know how he's pulled it off. Feels like smoke and mirrors at times. It's been an impressive performance by Frank DeBoer this season. I don't know if he'll get enough credit for it. Hopefully, if he gets a chance to lift a trophy in a few weeks, he will get that reception that he, I believe, richly deserves. We're going to call it a night. We're going to come back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, SDH. Wall Pass Wednesday, Overreaction Wednesday. Tweet at us. Tweet your questions at us. We'll recap more of tonight. We will start to look ahead to NYC. And tomorrow we'll look ahead to the close of the transfer window, because I'm expecting fireworks around the league. I think we're going to see lots of chaos, and it might go all the way down to 1 o'clock Eastern time.
I don't know if we're going to have a 1 o'clock Eastern.
I don't know. There might be 1 a.m. tweeting. Yes. I don't know if there's going to be a 1 a.m. show. But all the stuff tomorrow on SDH, on 92.9 The Game, on stoppage time, and something in the evening, along with watching who Atlanta United will be facing in the Open Cup final.
All of the above.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks to everybody who came out to the Brew House tonight. Thanks to everybody who hung out for a while afterwards. Thanks to everybody who's listening at home. And thanks for all the support. We'll be back tomorrow. Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.